Listen to me very carefully. Success is not an accident. High achievers do not stumble their way into greatness. They build it brick by brick, day after day, with a mindset that is unshakable. They do not hope to win, they expect to win. They do not wish for opportunities, they create them. Every single day they wake up with one mission: to push themselves further than yesterday. The mindset of high achievers is not about comfort. Comfort is the enemy. High achievers embrace the struggle because they know that growth only comes through resistance. The weight that feels heavy, the challenge that feels impossible, those are the very things that forge strength. While others complain, high achievers train. While others look for shortcuts, high achievers grind through the long road because they know there is no elevator to the top. They use discipline every day. Discipline is their weapon. When the alarm clock rings, they don't negotiate with it. They get up. When it's time to put in the work, they don't wait for motivation. They rely on commitment. High achievers understand that feelings are temporary, but habits are permanent. And they build habits that move them closer to victory. Every day, they visualize the outcome. They see the trophy, they see the stage, they see the finish line before they even take the first step. And that vision fuels them when their body says stop. High achievers silence that voice of doubt. They replace it with certainty. They replace it with hunger. They replace it with the relentless belief that no matter how long it takes, no matter how much it costs, they will reach the goal. High achievers surround themselves with greatness. They cut out negativity. They don't let the doubters, the haters, or the critics write their story. They listen only to that voice inside that says, you can and you will. And they prove it through action. They are not afraid to fail. In fact, they use failure as fuel. Every setback is a lesson. Every defeat is a step forward. High achievers do not stay down. They rise stronger. They rise smarter. They rise with more determination than before. This mindset, it is not something they switch on when it's convenient. It is who they are every day, every hour, every moment. The same intensity they bring to the gym, to the office, to the battlefield of life. They bring it everywhere. This is the difference. This is why they stand above the rest. High achievers are not born, they are made. Made through discipline, vision, resilience, and an iron mind that never quits. That is the mindset they use every single day. Discipline is the daily weapon of high achievers, the force that separates the dreamers from the doers, the ones who talk about goals from the ones who actually achieve them. When you study those who rise to the top in any field, you will see a pattern that repeats itself over and over again. It is not luck, it is not talent alone, it is discipline. The discipline to wake up when the world is still asleep, the discipline to keep going when the body screams for rest, the discipline to choose long-term rewards over short-term pleasure. High achievers do not rely on moods or feelings because feelings are unreliable. They come and go like the wind. What they rely on is the unbreakable routine they have built for themselves, the structure that makes them unstoppable even when their motivation is gone. Discipline is what gets them to the gym when they don't feel like training. Discipline is what gets them studying when their mind wants to relax. Discipline is what keeps them working on their craft when everyone else has already given up. Every single day, high achievers sharpen this weapon. They know that discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. If you give in to laziness, if you give in to excuses, that muscle weakens. But if you fight through the resistance again and again, it grows until it becomes second nature. The alarm clock rings early. They get up. A task feels boring. They do it anyway. The workout feels painful. They push harder. High achievers are not superhuman. They feel the same temptations, the same doubts, the same resistance as anyone else. But the difference is they don't bow down to those feelings. They have trained themselves to act no matter what. Discipline creates freedom, and high achievers understand this truth better than anyone. Most people think discipline is about restriction, about being strict and rigid. But in reality, discipline is what gives you freedom to live life on your terms. If you are disciplined with your health, you have the freedom of energy and strength. If you are disciplined with your money, you have the freedom of choice and security. If you are disciplined with your time, you have the freedom to build your future instead of being trapped in someone else's plan. High achievers live by this. They know that every act of discipline today builds a greater freedom tomorrow, and that is why they never compromise with it. The world around us is full of distractions, temptations, and noise. Every second, there is something pulling you away from your mission, something easier, more comfortable, more entertaining. High achievers fight this battle every day, and their weapon is discipline. It keeps them focused. It keeps them locked in on the vision they have for themselves. While others are scrolling endlessly, wasting hours, they are building. While others are chasing pleasure, they are chasing progress. It is not because they never feel tempted. It is because they have made a decision to stay disciplined no matter what. Discipline is also the shield against excuses. The average person justifies everything. They say they are too tired, too busy, not ready, not capable. But the high achiever doesn't give themselves that luxury. They cut off the excuse before it even takes root, because discipline means doing what must be done regardless of the circumstances. They understand that the circumstances will never be perfect, the timing will never be ideal, the resources will never be complete, but waiting for perfect conditions is just another form of procrastination. Discipline says, start now, use what you have, and grow from there. When setbacks come, and they always do, discipline is what keeps high achievers moving forward. They don't let one failure stop them because their routine does not depend on success or failure. It depends on showing up every single day. They don't abandon their habits because of disappointment. They double down on them. Discipline makes them resilient because it gives them consistency, and consistency builds momentum. Momentum eventually creates breakthroughs that others never reach because they quit too soon. Discipline is not glamorous, it is not flashy, it is often invisible. It happens in the quiet hours when no one is watching, in the sacrifices no one sees, in the repeated actions that look boring to outsiders. But that is the secret. High achievers know that greatness is built in private, long before it is celebrated in public. The discipline to repeat, to refine, to master, that is what eventually explodes into success that looks effortless from the outside. The truth is, it was never effortless. It was disciplined effort repeated endlessly. Even in the toughest moments, discipline provides clarity. When emotions run wild, when fear and doubt whisper loudly, discipline cuts through the noise and says, do the work. It silences the chaos by bringing the focus back to action. This is why high achievers trust discipline more than motivation, because motivation fades the moment life gets hard, but discipline grows stronger the more you use it. Discipline is the one thing that cannot be taken away from you unless you give it up willingly, and high achievers guard it like their greatest treasure. High achievers understand that discipline compounds. A single act of discipline may seem small, but when repeated daily, it stacks up into massive results. One disciplined choice in health leads to strength over years. One disciplined choice in learning leads to wisdom over decades. One disciplined choice in work leads to mastery that sets you apart. They see the bigger picture. They know that discipline today plants the seeds of greatness tomorrow, and that vision keeps them going when others stop. They also know discipline is contagious. The standard you hold for yourself becomes the standard others hold for you. High achievers lead with their actions, and their discipline inspires those around them to step up as well. A disciplined leader raises a disciplined team. A disciplined parent raises disciplined children. A disciplined individual raises the standard for an entire community. The ripple effect of discipline is powerful, and high achievers take responsibility for being that example. At the end of the day, discipline is the true measure of who you are. Not what you say, not what you plan, but what you do repeatedly. High achievers define themselves not by dreams, but by routines, not by wishes, but by habits, not by intentions, but by daily actions. And those daily actions, backed by discipline, create a life of extraordinary achievement that others admire but few are willing to live, they embrace struggle and turn resistance into strength, because they understand that the path to greatness is not paved with comfort, but with obstacles that test the limits of who you are. High achievers do not shy away from the hard road, they welcome it, because every challenge is a chance to grow. Every setback is a chance to learn. Every moment of pain is a chance to get stronger. They see resistance not as a barrier, but as the very force that will shape them into the person capable of reaching the top. Just like muscles grow under pressure, character and resilience grow under struggle. The average person runs away from difficulty, searching for the easy route, but high achievers know the easy route leads nowhere. It produces mediocrity, and mediocrity is unacceptable to them. When life puts a heavy weight on their shoulders, they do not collapse under it, they use it as training. Every trial becomes another rep in the gym of life. Every hardship another exercise that builds endurance, patience, and determination. They understand that struggle is the price of admission to success, and they are willing to pay that price again and again. Resistance is not the enemy, it is the ally, the sharpening stone that polishes their abilities until they shine. Each time they meet resistance, they lean into it, because they know the reward is always hidden behind the barrier most people are unwilling to cross. High achievers reframe the struggle in their minds. While most complain about how difficult things are, achievers turn the same situation into motivation. They ask, how can this make me better? How can I use this to level up? How can I turn this pain into power? They do not dwell on unfairness. They do not waste time wishing it was easier. They simply get tougher. Struggle becomes a source of pride because they know every scar tells a story of survival. Every setback tells a story of persistence. Every obstacle tells a story of victory over weakness. Resistance is everywhere, and instead of fighting against its existence, high achievers adapt to it. They expect resistance on the journey and prepare their mind for it. They know that progress without pushback does not exist. So when resistance shows up, they are not surprised or discouraged. They are ready. This readiness makes them unstoppable, because nothing can break a person who already expects and embraces the difficulty. Others get blindsided by obstacles. Achievers treat obstacles as a normal part of the process, something to be handled with focus and effort. They use resistance as feedback. When something pushes back, they don't see it as rejection, they see it as direction. It shows them where they need to grow, what skills they must sharpen, what weaknesses they must strengthen. Resistance reveals the gaps in their preparation, and instead of hiding from it, they train harder to close those gaps. Struggle exposes the truth about who you are, and high achievers use that truth to become unshakable. This is why failure does not break them, it builds them. Resistance teaches them more than success ever could. Struggle also gives them perspective. When you go through hardship and survive, you realize how strong you really are. High achievers carry this awareness into everything they do. They know they can endure more than they once believed, and that confidence becomes their edge. The next challenge does not intimidate them, because they remember the last mountain they already climbed. This mental strength grows every time they embrace the struggle, turning their history of resilience into a reservoir of unshakable faith in their own abilities. High achievers develop a unique relationship with pain. Most people run from it, but achievers train themselves to use it. Pain becomes a signal, a guide that tells them they are moving in the right direction. If it's uncomfortable, it means growth is happening. If it's difficult, it means progress is being made. They learn to push past the temporary discomfort in order to reach permanent strength. They almost crave that struggle because they know it is the only way to stretch beyond their limits. Resistance is also the ultimate filter. It separates the committed from the curious, the serious from the casual, the disciplined from the weak. High achievers know that most people will quit the moment resistance appears, but they refuse to be part of that majority. They thrive in the moments others run from, because those moments are where greatness is forged. Struggle is the testing ground, and they are willing to stand in the fire until everyone else has left, because they know that is where legends are made. Embracing struggle requires humility, and high achievers understand this as well. They know they don't have all the answers, they know they will stumble, they know they will fail along the way, but instead of being ashamed of that, they welcome it. Every failure makes them more prepared, every mistake makes them more dangerous, every wrong turn teaches them how to find the right path faster next time. The struggle teaches them lessons no book or classroom can provide, and they treat those lessons as priceless gifts. They also understand that resistance sharpens not only the body and mind, but also the spirit. Struggle builds patience, compassion, and perspective. It allows them to understand the value of success because they had to fight so hard for it. It gives them a sense of gratitude for the journey, a respect for the process, and a deeper appreciation for every victory. Without resistance, success feels empty, but when earned through sweat, pain, and sacrifice, success feels powerful and meaningful. High achievers do not hide their scars, they display them as proof of the battles they've endured. Those scars are not weaknesses, they are evidence of resilience. They remind themselves and others that the path to greatness is never clean or easy. It is messy. It is filled with failures. It is filled with nights of doubt and days of pain. But those who keep going transform all of it into a masterpiece of strength. Resistance becomes part of their identity, not something to avoid, but something that defines them as warriors of their craft, fighters of their destiny, champions of their vision. The truth is, struggle will always be part of life, and resistance will never disappear. The difference lies in how you respond to it. High achievers decide every day that they will not let resistance stop them. They will not let struggle break them. They will not let difficulty discourage them. Instead, they will take every ounce of resistance and use it to fuel their rise, to sharpen their edge, to turn themselves into something unshakable. This is the mindset that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. The ability to embrace struggle fully and turn resistance into unstoppable strength vision drives them, seeing the outcome before it exists, painting a picture in their minds so clear and so powerful that it pulls them forward even when everything around them says stop. High achievers live in two worlds at the same time, the present where they grind and sweat, and the future they can already see before it happens. That vision is not a daydream, it is not a fantasy. It is a target locked deep in their mind, and they chase it with relentless focus. While others see only what is in front of them, achievers see what could be, and because they see it, they believe it, and because they believe it, they act on it every single day. The vision becomes their compass, the guiding star that keeps them moving in the right direction when distractions try to pull them off track. They don't wander aimlessly, they don't waste energy on meaningless detours, because their vision reminds them where they are going and why they started. This clarity gives them power, it makes their decisions sharper, it makes their actions more intentional, it makes their time more valuable. They don't chase everything, they chase the one thing that aligns with the vision, and that is why they advance while others drift. High achievers build their lives backward from the vision. They see the end result in their minds, then reverse engineer the path to get there. If the vision is a championship, they map out the training, the diet, the sacrifices required. If the vision is building a business, they visualize the empire and then design the strategy step by step. They start with the picture of success fully formed in their imagination, and then they take the actions needed to turn that picture into reality. Most people wait to see results before they believe. Achievers believe first and then create the results. Vision also provides them with energy that ordinary motivation cannot match. Motivation comes and goes like the tide, but vision burns like a fire inside them that never goes out. On the days when their body is tired, when progress feels invisible, when setbacks keep piling up, the vision whispers to them louder than the doubt. It says, this is where you are going, this is who you are becoming, this is why the pain is worth it. Vision gives them the strength to endure storms that would break anyone else, because the image of the destination is so real, it feels inevitable. They don't just see the outcome, they feel it. High achievers live the victory in their minds long before it happens. They taste the success, they feel the crowd, they hear the applause, they experience the freedom, the pride, the fulfillment. Their imagination becomes a rehearsal, and every repetition in their mind makes the real moment more certain. This mental practice builds confidence, it programs their subconscious, it makes them act with certainty instead of hesitation. By the time the opportunity comes, they have already lived it 1,000 times, and that is why they perform at the highest level when it matters most. Vision also acts as a shield against negativity. The world is filled with doubters, critics, and people who cannot see beyond their own limitations. High achievers hear all the noise, but they do not absorb it, because their vision is louder. They know that others may not understand their dreams because those people cannot see what they see, but that does not matter. They don't need validation, they don't need approval, they only need the vision. That is why they keep moving forward when others try to pull them back, because the vision is more real to them than the doubts of the crowd. Clarity of vision creates resilience. When the road gets hard, when progress slows down, when failure knocks them down again and again, the vision pulls them back up. Without vision, it is easy to give up because there is no clear reason to continue. With vision, giving up is not even an option, because they know where they are going and nothing can stop them from getting there. The vision becomes their anchor in chaos, the one thing that never changes no matter how rough the journey gets. High achievers use vision not only for themselves, but also to inspire others. People follow leaders who can see further, who can paint a picture of the future that excites and motivates. A powerful vision creates momentum because it gives meaning to the struggle. Teams endure harder training when they believe in the championship. Families make sacrifices when they believe in the future it will create. Communities rise up when they see a vision of what they can become together. Vision multiplies strength because it unites effort under a shared picture of success. Vision requires faith, and high achievers cultivate that faith every day. They act as if the vision is already real, they speak with certainty, they move with conviction. This faith is not blind, it is backed by action. They don't just sit and dream, they grind with the confidence that their actions will eventually align with the picture in their mind. This combination of vision and relentless effort makes them unstoppable, because even when the results are not immediate, they know it is only a matter of time before the vision manifests. They also protect their vision. They don't share it carelessly with everyone, because they know not everyone will understand. They guard it against negativity, they nurture it with daily focus, they fuel it with small victories along the way. The vision is like a flame that must be fed and protected, and high achievers keep it burning no matter what. They remind themselves of it daily, through affirmations, through visualization, through aligning their habits with it. They live in alignment with their vision so strongly that it becomes their identity. Vision sharpens sacrifice. When they know clearly what they want, it becomes easier to say no to distractions, easier to give up temptations, easier to walk away from comfort. Every time they choose discipline over laziness, focus over distraction, sacrifice over pleasure, it is because the vision makes the reward worth it. They don't feel deprived, they feel empowered, because they know they are trading something small today for something massive tomorrow. This is how vision makes them consistent when others quit. The truth is, the vision is always stronger than the struggle if you hold on to it. High achievers don't just set goals, they live with a vision so deeply rooted in their mind that it becomes the foundation of everything they do. They think it, they feel it, they believe it, they work for it, and eventually they live it. This is why vision is the fuel, the drive, the unstoppable force behind every high achiever. The ability to see the outcome before it exists and then bring it to life through relentless action. Failure is not the end. It's the fuel for the comeback, and high achievers know this better than anyone else. Where most people see failure as proof they are not good enough, achievers see it as proof they are in the arena, proof they are trying, proof they are daring to step into places where others don't even attempt to go. They understand that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the very path that leads to it. Every misstep, every rejection, every disappointment carries within it the raw material for growth, and high achievers are masters at turning that raw material into power. When they fail, they don't waste energy on self-pity, they don't drown themselves in excuses, they don't give in to shame, they study it, they break it down, they ask themselves why it happened, what they could have done differently, what lesson is hidden inside the setback. To them, failure is not permanent, it is a teacher, and every great achievement they reach is built on the foundation of lessons learned from mistakes. They have trained themselves to see failure as feedback, not finality. High achievers are relentless experimenters. They know that every breakthrough is preceded by dozens, sometimes hundreds of failed attempts, but instead of being discouraged, they see each failed attempt as progress, as one step closer to the formula that will work. Inventors, athletes, leaders, creators, they all share this trait. They are willing to fall down 10 times if it means standing tall the 11th time. They accept that failure is the toll you must pay on the highway to mastery, and they are willing to pay it gladly. They also use failure to build resilience. Each time they fall and rise again, they develop thicker skin, stronger willpower, deeper courage. The first time failure hits, it stings, it feels crushing, but the more they face it, the less power it holds over them. Soon they develop an immunity to the fear of failure, and that freedom allows them to take risks others are too scared to take. They understand that the risk of failing is small compared to the cost of never trying. This resilience becomes their competitive edge, because while others are paralyzed by fear, achievers are moving forward fueled by every lesson failure has given them. Failure also strips away ego. It humbles even the strongest, and in that humility lies the opportunity to grow. High achievers embrace this humility because they know arrogance closes doors to learning, while humility opens them wide. Failure forces them to confront weaknesses, to admit flaws, to recognize blind spots. Instead of denying or hiding these, they work on them until the weakness becomes a strength. Without failure, they would never see the areas that need sharpening, but with failure, they are constantly refining themselves into sharper, smarter, stronger versions. The mindset they carry toward failure is what makes them unstoppable. While others interpret failure as I am not capable, achievers interpret it as I am not finished. This simple shift in perspective changes everything. One interpretation closes the book, the other writes the next chapter. This is why they are so persistent, why they keep showing up again and again, even after setbacks that would make most people quit. They are not defined by the failure, they are defined by their response to it, and their response is always to rise, to adjust, to try again with more intensity and more wisdom. High achievers also know that failure makes success sweeter. If you win without losing, the victory feels hollow. But when you have battled through defeat, when you have been counted out, when you have tasted the bitterness of loss, and then come back to claim the triumph, that victory carries a weight and meaning that cannot be faked. The struggle gives value to the success, and the setbacks make the achievement shine brighter. That is why they never see failure as wasted effort. Every failure adds depth to their eventual story of victory. They use failure to sharpen their vision. Every time they fall short, they are forced to ask themselves how much they truly want the goal. Many people quit after failing because the goal was never that important to them in the first place, but high achievers let failure test their desire, and when the fire still burns after failure, they know their vision is real. This clarity keeps them committed, because if they can endure the pain of defeat and still hunger for the dream, that dream is worth everything. Failure also teaches adaptability. Plans rarely go perfectly, and achievers know this. Each failure forces them to adjust strategy, to pivot, to innovate. They become flexible, creative problem solvers because they have been trained by failure to never expect a smooth road. This adaptability makes them dangerous competitors because no setback can completely derail them. They always find a way around, over, or through the obstacle. Where others see a dead end, they see a chance to invent a new path. Another reason high achievers embrace failure is because it destroys fear of judgment. Many people are so terrified of what others will think if they fail that they never even try. But achievers fail publicly, they fail visibly, and in doing so they realize the world keeps moving, the critics lose interest, and the only opinion that truly matters is their own. Once you fail and survive, you discover that judgment has no real power over you, and that freedom is priceless. High achievers carry this freedom, and it allows them to pursue their goals boldly without hesitation. They also transform failure into motivation. The memory of loss, the sting of defeat, the embarrassment of falling short, these become fuel in their fire. They don't run from the memory, they use it to push harder, to train longer, to prepare better. They let the pain of the past drive them toward redemption, and that hunger for a comeback makes them more focused and determined than ever before. Failure is not something they bury or forget. It is something they carry as energy, as a constant reminder to never settle until they win. Failure reveals character, and high achievers welcome this test. When everything goes right, anyone can appear confident and committed. But when failure strikes, only true character is exposed. Some collapse, some quit, some make excuses, but achievers dig deeper, they rise higher, they refuse to be broken. Every failure reveals another layer of who they really are, and with each comeback, they shape themselves into a person of unshakable integrity and resilience. This is why failure never defines them negatively. It is never the end of the story, only a chapter. They see every defeat as a setup for a greater comeback, every collapse as the foundation for a stronger rise, every mistake as a stepping stone toward mastery. In their world, failure is not a signal to stop. It is a signpost that says you are moving in the right direction. Keep going, keep adjusting, keep fighting, because the breakthrough is near. That is how high achievers transform failure into fuel, using every loss as energy for the relentless pursuit of the ultimate victory. Their mind set is not part-time. It is who they are every day, in every choice, in every action, in every moment they live. High achievers do not treat greatness as a hobby. They do not treat success as something to visit when it is convenient. They embody it as their identity. It is not something they switch on when they feel like it and switch off when they don't. It is woven into their very character. They understand that consistency is what separates the extraordinary from the average, and that means showing up with the same intensity whether the cameras are on or off, whether people are watching or not. High achievers carry this mindset into everything, not just the big goals, but also the smallest tasks. The way they train, the way they eat, the way they organize their time, the way they handle responsibilities, all of it is infused with the same standard of excellence. They know that how you do anything is how you do everything, and that means no corners are cut, no shortcuts are taken, no excuses are entertained. Their standard is always high, because they know lowering it in one area will eventually bleed into every other area. This full-time mindset is what gives them an edge, because most people live in cycles of intensity and laziness. They push hard for a few days, then coast, then complain, then start again. High achievers do not live that way. Their identity does not allow it. They have burned the bridge to mediocrity. They have destroyed the option of going back to comfort. To them, there is no other way but forward, no other way but discipline, no other way but relentless pursuit. That is why their results look so far ahead of everyone else. They are living the mindset all the time, while others are living it sometimes. The part-time approach is tempting because it feels easier, but high achievers know it leads nowhere. You cannot achieve greatness with half-hearted commitment. You cannot master anything by showing up only when you feel motivated. The world belongs to those who commit fully, those who show up on the days they feel unstoppable, and on the days they feel broken. Those who keep moving, whether the progress is fast or painfully slow. This is what it means to live the mindset, to carry it as your identity, not just as a temporary phase. Their mindset is with them when they wake up and when they go to sleep. It determines what they eat, how they train, how they think, how they spend their time. It drives the choices they make in relationships, in business, in personal growth. It filters everything, because once you commit to living as a high achiever, everything in your life must align with that standard. There is no separation, no compartmentalization. They don't say this is my work life and this is my personal life. They say this is who I am everywhere all the time. High achievers know that identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as someone who only works hard occasionally, then your results will reflect that inconsistency. But if you see yourself as a warrior, a competitor, a relentless achiever, then your behavior follows that identity automatically. You no longer have to debate with yourself about whether or not to do the work, because doing the work is simply who you are. This is why their mind set is not part-time. It is fused into their identity so completely that every action reflects it without negotiation. This constant mindset creates momentum. Every day they add another brick, another step, another repetition, and the compound effect builds faster than anyone around them realizes. While others restart over and over again, wasting time in cycles of stopping and starting, high achievers build without interruption. That consistency multiplies their results and accelerates their progress. What looks like superhuman ability is actually just the product of not quitting, not slowing down, not living in part-time effort. The mindset also gives them a deep sense of discipline that most people cannot understand. Discipline is not something they borrow for a short period. It is something they live in. They don't dread the hard work. They expect it. They embrace it. They build their lives around it. Sacrifice doesn't feel like punishment to them. It feels natural because they know they are exchanging temporary comfort for permanent greatness. This way of thinking becomes automatic over time, and it's the reason they rise to the top while others stay stuck. Even in their failures, their mindset stays the same. A part-time mindset collapses after a setback, but a full-time mindset treats the setback as just another part of the journey. High achievers don't abandon their identity when things go wrong. They lean into it even harder. The failure doesn't change who they are, it only strengthens their determination. That's why they are so consistent, why they keep showing up regardless of outcomes, because they are not chasing success as a temporary event. They are living success as a permanent way of life. Their environment reflects this mindset too. They don't surround themselves with people who live casually, because casual habits infect discipline. They surround themselves with others who live with the same intensity, who hold themselves to the same standard, who understand the cost of greatness. Their relationships, their conversations, their activities are chosen carefully, because they know everything around them either feeds or weakens their mindset. Protecting that environment is part of living full-time as an achiever. The mindset is also visible in their vision of the future. They don't plan short bursts of effort. They plan entire lifetimes of achievement. They see themselves evolving, growing, conquering, long after the initial goal has been reached. For them, there is no finish line because the mindset is not about one victory. It is about becoming someone who never stops improving, never stops building, never stops striving. The vision stretches far beyond what most people even think is possible, because they know that as long as they live this mindset, they will continue to rise. What makes this mindset so powerful is its permanence. It doesn't fade with age. It doesn't shrink with challenges. It doesn't disappear when one goal is achieved. Once high achievers have adopted this as their identity, it becomes their constant companion. They may change fields, they may pursue new goals, but the fire remains the same, the discipline remains the same, the hunger remains the same. It is not tied to a single achievement, it is tied to who they are as human beings. Most importantly, this mindset removes hesitation from their lives. They don't waste time debating whether or not they will commit, whether or not they will sacrifice, whether or not they will push forward. The decision has already been made once and for all, and every day afterward is just living out that decision. This is why they move faster, why they act decisively, why they create momentum that others cannot catch up with. While most are still deciding whether to go all in, High achievers are already 10 steps ahead because they live all in every single day. Their mindset is a lifestyle, not a strategy. It is the way they think, the way they breathe, the way they operate. It defines their mornings, their nights, their training, their work, their relationships. It is not something that depends on circumstances, not something that fades when life gets hard, not something that disappears after a small win. It is permanent, it is constant, it is full-time. That is why high achievers stand apart, because their mindset is not something they practice occasionally. It is who they are at their core every single day.